Sheldon Cooper, the protagonist of The Big Bang Theory, is often seen as a highly intelligent, albeit eccentric, character. His quirky mannerisms, need for structure, and often humorous lack of social understanding make him both endearing and frustrating to those around him. In Young Sheldon, viewers get a glimpse into Sheldon's childhood and the early experiences that shaped his personality. However, it's in this prequel series that we see how Sheldon's view of the world is distorted, offering evidence that he may not always be the reliable narrator he thinks he is. Here are 8 moments where young Sheldon shows that Sheldon Cooper's version of events may not be entirely accurate, and how his unique perspective sometimes distorts the truth. 1. His ability to understand social cues. In The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon proudly declares that he has little to no understanding of social cues. His lack of empathy and inability to grasp the nuances of social interactions is part of his charm, and also one of the defining features of his character. However, in Young Sheldon, we see moments where young Sheldon presents himself as an expert in social situations, despite his frequent mistakes. In one instance, Sheldon attempts to teach his family members how to behave in a more socially acceptable manner. He presents himself as the arbiter of social norms, insisting that he knows how to manage interactions and read people's emotions. But his interactions, such as when he misinterprets Missy's subtle gestures or misjudges the emotional responses of his family, show that Sheldon's understanding of social dynamics is far more superficial than he would like to admit. This makes Sheldon an unreliable narrator when it comes to his own self-assessment in terms of social competency. He thinks he understands social interactions, but his actions suggest otherwise. 2. His overestimation of his intellectual superiority. Sheldon's belief in his own intellectual superiority is a constant theme in both The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon. From a very young age, Sheldon is aware of his advanced intellect, but his overestimation of his abilities often leads him to make false assumptions about those around him. In one episode of Young Sheldon, Sheldon insists that he is the only one capable of understanding complex scientific concepts, even though he doesn't fully understand the basic human emotions that drive those around him. While his academic achievements are impressive, Sheldon's narrow focus on intellectual prowess causes him to dismiss the value of emotional intelligence and other forms of understanding. He's quick to assume that his scientific knowledge automatically makes him better than others, often misjudging people based on their lack of academic achievement. In this case, Sheldon's version of events, where he is always the smartest in the room, can be seen as unreliable, as it ignores the richness of human experience that doesn't fit into his narrow view of intelligence. 3. His memory of childhood events. Sheldon frequently references his own childhood in both The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon, recounting stories about his early life in a way that paints him as a misunderstood genius in a family of average minds. However, the show often highlights how Sheldon's recollection of these events is distorted, particularly when it comes to how he views his family members. In one particularly telling moment from Young Sheldon, Sheldon recounts an event from his past where he believes his father, George, was unsupportive of his academic pursuits. Sheldon paints a picture of a father who was uninterested in his intellectual growth and more focused on the sports and social aspects of life. However, as the episode unfolds, we see that George did, in fact, support Sheldon's academic endeavors in his own way, even if he wasn't always able to express it in a way Sheldon could understand. Sheldon's selective memory and tendency to focus on the negative aspects of his relationship with his father make his narrative unreliable. 4. The portrayal of his family's acceptance. Sheldon often sees himself as an outsider, someone who is fundamentally different from everyone else in his family. In both The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon, he presents his family as being largely unsupportive of his academic ambitions and quirks. However, Young Sheldon presents a more complex picture of his family dynamics, showing that while they may not always understand Sheldon's behavior, they consistently support him in their own ways. For example, Sheldon's mother, Mary, is often portrayed as overly protective and sometimes overly indulgent in young Sheldon, but her actions speak to a deep love and concern for Sheldon's well-being. She may not always know how to handle his eccentricities, but she does everything in her power to protect him and nurture his talents. Yet Sheldon frequently interprets her actions as con 5. His relationship